All right, the first month, everybody's ready. Hopefully, a few people want to play. We don't have a lot for you to play, but a few people might be able to get up and experiment with some of what I'm talking about. The first one we're going to look at is called the building of dynamics, and it's something that all of you already understand. But I like to say it out loud once more, anyways. I feel it's important. But so there's two pieces, two phrases for demonstration here. And the first one on line 1, it'll just say number 1, flat dynamic, whatever. You got to keep in mind that at one time, very much was left to the performer. And composers, as time went by, became micromanagers. And today, every note is, they're like writing vertical now. So they can write a dynamic on that one note. And that one note has a crescendo and decrescendo, right? It's a quarter note, but they're doing it. It's a 16th note, I've seen it done. It's like that, it's like burp. It's pretty funny. But they're micromanaging you today, and it's rough, music is kind of like poetry in a way, the way I feel, is that we have the poem, and then the poem is finished by the reader. And the poem will very often have more meaning or deeper meaning or peripheral meaning than what the poet had originally intended. There's more to it. So no matter how much they try and micromanage you in your playing, there's still something, always there's something they missed themselves, even though they wrote the music. So I hunt. I'm a hunter. I hunt for what I think the composer missed. Where's the connection? Da-da-da, instead of da-da-da, da-da-da. It makes sense. Hunt for different things, different ways to express it. Don't play the same piece twice every time you wake up and turn to Mozart Adagio and off you go with the same exact thing you did in high school. The piece wasn't written like that. It wasn't written like the way you played in high school. And you have to see beyond it. So here, you can see just a little bit what's going on. We have dynamics in the first line, D, C sharp, D. And then the next one down, we're adding just some slurs. Okay? No tempo yet. And the one after that, we're adding a mezzo piano and a mezzo forte, beginning and end, just for fun. And at the end, we have including crescendo and decrescendo dynamics. And so now you're beginning to see it become a little more musical. And then the last one, add a bit of performance. This is always you. And the problem I'm finding is everybody's forgetting to add a little bit of themselves to finish the piece for the composer, to finish the poem. A haiku, for example, the whole point of a haiku is to capture an essence of something, to capture what they call soka, creative force, and koto, which means to be coming and going of all things. So they're capturing something in 3 lines, let's say. Well, only in 3 lines, there should be resonance in that little tiny poem that lets the reader meander and ponder forever. And get new insights every time they read it. Otherwise, it's just we might as well get a saw out and play a tree. There's more, and I've always been one that searches for more in music. I don't care what a half note is, in some way. A half note's a note and a half to me sometimes, and an eighth note sometimes becomes a quarter note, and 16th notes are kind of fast 8th notes, and I mess it all up. And in particular with unaccompanied solos, I don't care what they wrote, I'm going to play that and move that around a little bit and see if I can discover something the composer wished they would have put on the paper. They go like, wow! Somebody got a hold of me about one of my poems, and they gave me an insight what they got from it. I went, wow, that was nothing what I had in mind. And yet it was absolutely spot on. It made total sense to the poet that wrote it. It's unbelievable. So basically what's going on, if you go back in time, the composers have encroached your territory as the virtuoso and started to dictate to you. And today, you would see some of these scores. Every little thing is just done. You gotta just play one person, have one person in the world play it, record it on a CD so it's perfect, and then nobody else has to play it ever again. If you want to dictate it that much, there's no reason for any of us to play it. You, Mr. Composer, pick it out, pick out the player in the world, John Crick, and have him play it. Put it on a CD, and that's it. Then put the piece away, throw it away, it's recorded, we have it now. Because there will never be another version. It's going to sound identical to anybody else. And why would you ever go to Brand Library in Glendale and listen to the darn thing played? You've heard it 50 times, exactly the same way. Maybe a little different tone, but it depends. If they neutralize this and only make one mouthpiece, we're history there. So, hopefully you just keep your fingers crossed. They keep making a bunch of mouthpieces of different reeds, so they don't legislate us too much. Okay, I like a lot of freedom when I play, and I like to take my time. I don't like the tempos are taking the time today. I mean, the tempos are taking for some of the older pieces, Mozart song, Spohr. I mean, the end you couldn't play him with the instrument they had at the piece the tempos were taking. You have to go back in time as a virtuoso and study history. You got to study where it may have been played and who the audience might have been. Even just a little court symphony with a little clarinets playing there, and people are talking and they're drinking a little bit, and you're really background music. How about that? It's possible in my world of fantasy. That's how some of this stuff was played. Right? Mm-hmm. Right. So we have to keep the music kind of in context. They left a lot to the performer, and one thing is that we have a choice over his tempo. And as it's gone on, they're changing tempos, measure by measure. I mean, they just want this thing. And that's how they hear the music. Modern music it might as well be just random music off a computer sometimes. I've heard prettier stuff come from a computer, and more effective for your passion as a performer. It's an ingredient to the music. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Don Baird, and I was a studio musician for 8 years for Warner Brothers, Disney, MGM, and guys like that. Played with Meili Maeda, Zubin Meda's father, and Zubin Meda, Ralph Matesky, Mitchell Lurie, and that's enough you need to know about me. You're not going to learn anything with that. Your clarinet playing is not going to be any better because you know my name. If you go to the next one, you're going to see the same thing. You're going to see the flat dynamics, just da 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 dee da da da, right? Just this. There's nothing going on. And then if you add in measure 27, still building dynamics page, measure 27 at the very bottom, you're going to see there's slurs. And that changes its nature. Then you're going to see on the next page, page 2, volume added. So we have slurs and now an indication that it's probably not forte. Double forte, quadruple forte with blue cheeks. And measure 35, you're going to see there's a little crescendo, decrescendo. There's a little nuance coming in now because that's what music is about. It's about nuance. But whether it's marked or not, we have to find the nuance ourselves. If it's marked, it's kind of convenient. We become that computer clarinetist. Do we have any freedom there? Yeah, these are all indications. These are all indications. They are not facts. You'd have to have the fact. Here's the fact with a dry reed. Do you think that pianissimo, that double piano, let's say, it's called a double piano instead of one. Do you think that was the same in her ear as it was in yours back there?
Absolutely not.
It is not, and that's the problem. Everybody's just sitting there playing their stands, playing a bunch of dynamics in relation to each other, and forgetting that the dynamics are indicating to involve your passion and get involved in the music and put it somewhere. Where am I going to put it? Right here? Or back there? Well, that's too loud. That's not enough. That's the problem. That's the problem. And what I'm doing is creating writing pieces that allow and encourage you to expand your dream or your thought of how dynamics work. So I write unaccompanied pieces, a lot of them. And I have suggestions. Yeah, 84 to 108, there's your tempo, figure that out yourself. Here's this, here's that, And then I tell people, if I give them a piece, I usually tell them at the top of the piece, play it any way you want. Bob played a piece of mine up in Burbank, and Memoria, right? Yeah. Memoria. That's a tough piece, and a really tough piece to figure out how it's going to go. But once you get in it, because of the dynamics, because of the phrasing, because of the loudness and softness, and the nuances that you get involved in, the piece becomes easy to play. When you're just struggling for notes, the piece is always going to be hard. If you don't care about the notes and you like the music, you're going to play most of the notes. What do you want to play? A perfect piece and no music? Or miss a few notes or have a few problems and play music? They're here to hear music. People are kind of just stressing out. They hear a CD, they hear a CD of you. Then they hear you play live. Yeah, you still have a nice tone, but you missed a lot more notes than you did on the CD. Wow, dude, I was trying to play some music here. And when I moved that like this, one note ran off the road. Race cars drivers do it all the time, but you do it as a musician. Oh boy, here comes a hammer right in your head, and here comes the choker, the cane, and off the stage you go. It isn't right. So I just wanted to remind people that dynamics are built, and composers leave the dynamics of their piece. I'm talking about compositional dynamics, the dynamics of a piece, not dynamics in terms of it's just loud or soft. All the dynamics, which includes slowing down and speeding up and stuff like that, what makes a piece dynamic. And composers will stop somewhere. Early on, the 1700s, it probably looked like the very first line. And then you add slurs or tonguing where you can based on your instrument and how you interpret it. And they might not have, Bach didn't write all those little diddly-doos on there, right? The people embellished it, used the ornamentals, they created them on the spot themselves according to how they felt the musician was there and involved. That's what's important. And so let's move on to a thing called Thème de la Nuit Noire. All right, now here's the question. As you look at the music, who wants to try this with Maria? Who brought a clarinet and wants to try this after I kind of show you a little bit how it goes? Anyone in the game? Everybody's scared? Your clarinetists don't get scared, they get even. All right, so when I'm ready, you come up. But now, I want you to watch the music. Now, think of this, 5/4. What a weird deal. That's because I don't want you to really think about the rhythm. No, it's some sort of gimmick. No, it works. And but if you think in terms of quarter notes and at length, notice it says quasi ad lib. That's a lot of you. That's what I like. I like to see a lot of you. So this will kind of give you an idea. If you follow along, you'll see there's no quarter notes.
I find you in winds that tease golden beard of Savannah. Carry heat of summer sun and rumors of rain. I sense your presence in the morning mists that fall down green-coated mountains. Still dripping crystal dew, they catch first sun and begin to wither. I see you in the fierce arc of the day, as heat stokes the fire into the hungry middle that finds the hunters taking into them taking a timeless razor.
I got my note in. My turn because the beat was going and she messed up, so I got my note in. And I watched the noise on the beat, wherever it was.
And I don't read music, I'm not a musician, so I'm like, dot, 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 there's a dot.
If we play that, that's a terrible interest on the 8th. But anyway, if we play that again, it's going to be different. And if we play it again, it's going to be different again. Because every time you play it, it's fresh to you. It's a new piece. It depends how you feel that day. And you're a little this way, it's going to sound this way. A little this way, it's not. That's music. And can you find it in legislated music? Yes. You can find the same freedom, it's just not as obvious. You have to hunt for it. Where can I push this piece around? Where can I find me in the piece? These are questions you need to ask. Where am I here in the mix? Because this darn thing will never be played if it wasn't for me. So I ought to be involved, and you should be, because you're the virtuoso. Composers today, they're using you to play their piece, to hear it the way they want it without you. And we have to push them back. We're the virtuosos. Was, maybe. So, markings are not rules, they're guides. It's something I everywhere I teach, it's markings are not rules, they're guides. Just, even if it's not true, think that way, because you become the nuance in the music, and it becomes musical. Every note, every sound is relative to the one before or after. Those notes are before and after, and they have their own rights. And we need to pay attention to two notes. Now, everything else in the piece follows that level. That's the level you've chosen for mezzo piano. So I'm playing for the back row, okay? So it'll sound a little louder to the front row. But you gotta pick your tree. I used to go to the Angeles forest and sit in the forest. And I'd pick my trees and I'd sit there. I bring a chair and I just sit there and ad lib. And there'd be a tree here, a tree there, a tree back there, a tree out there, and a tree back there. Really good dynamics, nice natural reverb, and it was kind of cool. I spent hundreds of hours practicing playing to the trees. And so I had this little phrase, and I just played that tree, and the tree's right here. And then I'd play it to the tree, and the tree's right over there, but a little further. But I want that tree to experience what this tree did. So I've got to change it up. And then that tree way over there, Shorty, who's taller than all the rest. You know, it's the visual thing. I play to that tree and try and help that tree feel more magnificent than it was, than it already is. And that's really cool. So that each tree can have a similar experience. Because when you play for an audience, only one person possibly, where they're sitting, might have the exact experience you're trying to send out there. If I play to him, it's truly to him, and everybody else has got peripheral sound coming in there. You have to think about that. Who are you playing for? Where are you playing? What's the building? So, okay, come on up and play this with my wife, and let's see what your musical interpretation is.
Playing with a brand new ligature. Never played it before.
Oh, he just gave it to me. It's a rope? Okay, here we go.
Yeah, okay, we're playing from the beginning again?
Yeah, just take it right
You
there.
tuned up?
I know, I'm just like following.
There'll be
along.
some real issues here.
I find you in winds that tease golden beard of Savannah.
I composed it, and so I can say that's a great interpretation. I think it's awesome. I found him there, right? I didn't find me there, and that would piss me off, pardon the expression. But that aggravated me. I changed my dictionary, and boy, that aggravated me. And there's one of me over here, and there's one of me over here playing for you. One talking to you, one playing at you. You got one guy for the whole deal. It's kind of crazy. Next time you hear Mozart and you hear, Marcellus or Harold Wright, you hear all these guys. We actually are listening to people that did find their own nuance in the music. But today, it's roller skates and play it all at 132. We don't have to buy into that. We're not showmen. We're revealing something. We're unpeeling it. And we're doing it with our passion, with our feelings, and with our technical expertise, and how all dynamics are relative to each other. And the very first dynamic that's marked is a mezzo piano. That means everything you do in the future is going to be based on that. The next note's either going to be louder or softer or the same. The next note will be louder, softer, or the same. The next note will be louder, softer, and the same. The phrase will be louder, softer, or the same. The movement will be louder, softer, or the same. And the entire concerto will be louder and softer or the same than the stomachs or something else. It's what follows. You're following. Dynamics are leading you, and you're following at the same time. You have to project by where you are to where you're going to be. It's a real darn shame when you're just reading the F and you don't see the crescendo coming in the G, and you just play F, G, and right? There's no U. But what if the G didn't have a crescendo? Is that wrong? Is there a wrong here? It doesn't match what the composer wrote. I'm the character that wrote it. But is it wrong? Actually, you could explore that and think it's pretty cool. I dropped it off a little quicker off the D. We could hold it longer. I would think that'd be my more typical performance, but wow, what a nuance when you lean on that note. That's cool. I'm confused now. I wrote the darn thing, and I don't even know which one I want to play. It's like, wow, I like that version a lot. I never really thought about it before. But he did something kind of close to it. I'm like, okay, maybe I should take the dynamics off there and just let somebody play the darn thing. Here's the thing. When you look at it, do you think in those rests where she's reading the poem that I'm counting quarter notes? I'm reading the poem. We're out of that thing of, right? So how she reads this poem is going to kind of, whenever you get to come back in. She's the conductor, even though you started the piece. What she's doing, how she pauses on a note, where she leads, or holding sounds of birds. It's like, well, that's a half hour right there, holding sounds of birds. That's 10 seconds. You see? And you're sitting there, okay, I'm just going to count this out. 1, 2, 3, 4. You think there's an and 1 and 2, No, you're just, and birds. And then you just let that soak, and you hear the S disappear. Birds. Dee-da-dee-dee-dee-dee-da, right? Dee-da-da-da-da. And off you go. So the music has no beat. And the notes are just hints of length. And in measure, the 23 group there, the last measure, yeah, I turn it into 16th notes eventually because why not? It's exciting. But I'm decrescendoing. It's kind of neat when you use 16th notes decrescendo for a change to you're like yelling at the people and speeding up the thing and start off with the first 3 slow. Well, here we're actually gonna speed up, and we're starting at piano. We're supposed to get quieter. How do we do that? You can tell these are just hints. What does that mean? Well, it means which tree you're playing it to. If I'm playing that tree over there, this is mezzo forte. I have a tendency to play back, 2/3 back in an audience. So that's a little quickie on that one. There's another one called, and you'll see it, opera for clarinet. So here we have somebody that claims it's an adagio but puts it at a 72. So that's kind of cool, huh? So is this an adagio, a dante? What are we doing? Composer having fun with the players, like pick and choose, dude. Do this if there's female clarinetists. Pick and choose. And here's a thought on it. Is today composers micromanage, but performers have final say. That's a famous Don Baird quote. Okay, so it all begins with 2 notes and an initial marking, and everything else is relative. Now, 5/4. Does that sound like 5/4?
Not really.
I'm just playing however I want it. I'm playing how I'm thinking. I'm not playing how I'm counting. You're hearing me think this opera for clarinet, this recitative. He steps up and he's here, and he's a virtuoso tenor, baritone. This is what he's saying. Because guess what? The clarinet's not an instrument. Sorry. The clarinet is a voice. We just forgot about that. The clarinet is a voice. Everywhere I teach a microscopic 5-year-old clarinetist, that's where I start. This is a voice. And I studied phrasing with an opera singer who was on tour around the world. When he came back into town, then I'd meet with him. And so my background is Dan Magnus and Mitchell Lurie, and then this Samuel Scott from the San Francisco Orchestra, whose famous phrase is, "Go!" Because he played piano too, so he played all the accompaniments to the clarinet things. And he was a terrible pianist, but it was unbelievable. But he, da, 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 da. He goes, "Go!" I go, that's it. That's an opera clarinetist for you. Go! It's like, play it the way you want to, and he's screaming at me, "Play it, bring that out, let's go. What are you doing? You're holding back. Do something, break a reed," just talking to me. But the interesting thing is training with the singer, the tenor. It's like, I kind of asked him, I brought some clarinet music, some things. So I had him hum the adagio of the Mozart clarinet concerto. Wow. Why don't we play it like we're singing? Mozart did write stuff for singers. He always wrote stuff for singers. Like everything he wrote in some way can be hummed or thought hummed if it's too fast. But the way the phrases are, it's music. And music should be sung and heard in the back row. And so that's the point of this. So you could call this an etude to break you out of your mold, or you can call it a solo clarinet piece. It does indeed have 3 movements, and we do play it. And that's the first one. The second one is called Opera for Clarinet. It's the one that's quarter notes at 132. Now, while you're looking that up, would any clarinetist like to play part of this opera for clarinet for fun? Would you like to sight read a vocal part? Be brave. No guts, no glory. Who plays clarinet here? Anybody play? How about you? Can you play it?
Sure.
Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not having a contest of who's a success and failure. What we're doing is just seeing if you can understand that you have more freedom than you ever dreamed. Tell that to your teacher too. He's in love with you, man. He's in it. No, this is the tempo. It goes just like this. Da, 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 da. You know,
Yeah.
So we're gonna have you do that one while they look that up.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not gonna have you play the Allegro.
Yeah.
That kills me, and
All right.
I almost know the piece. Okay, so
Just when I'm ready.
whenever you're ready, and phrase it the way you want to phrase it, and this is how far I went, like that. Right, that's pretty good. Yeah, for a first shot at now, the neat thing about it, if there was an opera singer and they went dee da da da, would he go like that or da da? You know, like, what would they do? They'd open up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So play this phrase one more time, and your whole thing in this phrase is one note. This is a one-note phrase. Everything else is subsequent. Play it backwards. Find the one note, play it backwards in your head and go, everything here leads to that moment. That's what you got to find. You got to find out, where am I going? You know, I read books that way. I read the last chapter and I go, now I know where guy got killed. Now I read the whole book. I want to know where I'm going. You know, I'm one of those guys, got to know where north is. So I find the last note in the piece, I work backwards. Everybody else is learning it from the front. I find the last place. This is the last note in the piece, and this is where I'm going to end. What does it sound like? Now I get the 5 notes in front of it. Da-da-da-da-dum! You know, now there's 5 notes total, and that ends the piece. But yeah, to get to those 5 notes, what did I have to do? Well, I had to do this, I had to do this, I had to do this. So this is where I had to start. Because this journey needs to lead you to the very last note, and you have to keep your eye on the ball. That's the most important note in the piece. Just play a wrong note for the last note and see how people like it. Da-dee! You know, it's like, they'll remember that forever, but you miss one along the way, you're okay. You missed the very last note, you missed the very first note, it is Boot City. You are not a clarinetist, you're not a musician, how dare you present yourself, and the like. So go back here and take a little more time and think bravado. Think like you own this place and that you're sitting first chair in a major symphony. And you know what? You're singing. Don't think you're playing an instrument. It's not an instrument.
Mm-hmm.
It's a voice. So I want you to sing from your brain through your throat and let the instrument exposes how you're singing, not how you're playing.
Okay.
Got it? Yeah, try a different way. Right, a little more dynamic. And but the mezzo piano, by the time he hit the E, he was a mezzo forte and didn't have any place to go, but he pulled it off. But you can see, being a free player is not easy. It's actually harder than just following instructions. I'm telling him to be part of the creation. That means he's going to take this home and look at it and start to play it, get a feel for it, understand the phrasing, and understand this has to build up, as indicated, from mezzo piano to mezzo forte. That's kind of the indication. However you start, piano to forte, I played a forte on that B flat, you know? Where are you going to go with it? And the more you mess with it, the more you find you. And that's what music's about. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
not far. You're great. Yeah, then. That's a dry reading. This is really a tough piece because, well, by the time you hit the 8th, that is no longer the same beat as there. It's agitating. It's stirring. Right? It's going to draw the audience in because something changed. You know what pushes an audience away is when nothing changes. Nothing. Anybody dead yet? That used to be a nice piece. It just goes on its own path. If I ever perform it for you, I'll play it for real. Okay. Yeah. This is a casualized performance. And then the sneaky stuff. Uh-oh, back to the mystery. But wasn't that mysterious when I drew it out? It's like low, it's dark, it's like, you know, at first. Move it around. Move it around. Then we have Ink Zero, another duet.
Between blossoms, the salient ebb of creation. Stars in the natural light. One song threads another.
Huh? Shall I go?
Where? One song threads another.
Okay, so we almost sang it. So we played it a couple of years ago. You can see those 16ths, they like turn to 64ths or something. Just kind of gonna blow them off. I thought she said she had sort of worse, so I didn't understand what happened there, so we just stopped. But you know, there's so much freedom in this. If we do this, if you really count this, starting with the D on 7.
Between blossoms, the salient ebb of creation. Stars in the natural light. One song threads another.
Then I made a little crescendo, decrescendo on the B. And it's not written there, but it just felt like doing it. You know, so it has its own feel. We'd have to study this more, put it together, find out what kind of what's the first dynamic we want in it. Is there something we want to do different? I have it marked from 2 years ago. I don't feel like playing it that way today, so I have other ideas. And that's what's cool, and that's how your music should be. Don't have your marked Mozart. Oh, I just want to throw it against the wall. You have your marked Mozart in your cabinet, and you get called up to play the Mozart. And you go and you hunt down your marked Mozart, and that's how you play it. And 5 years later, go down to your closet, pull it out, and that's your marked Mozart. And you were 18 when you did the marked Mozart with your instructor, and now you're 42 doing the marked Mozart with your instructor. And I think we have a different player. You know, dry read, good notes, missed notes, it doesn't matter. Is there music there? And so when you get asked to play something like the Debussy, I don't go back to 67 when I played it with the Symphony Up North, Premier Rhapsody. I go back to a brand new one that has no markings. And I study the piano part first. Now, in the Brahms sonatas, I study the piano part first. And I know what's going on. And I find the dynamic phrases along with the pickups, the how you're going to make the beat. I find it there because the piano has a lot to do with what's working there. So we have to kind of keep that in mind. Okay, I'm going to create a mood, and then I want at least 3 clarinets to come up and play their mood of this mood. It's sight reading, then you have to do a lot because there's so much space. You have the piano part on the clarinet part. Okay, so that's is when I had mentioned that Samuel Scott says go, and the clarinet is a voice, treat it that way. Samuel Scott continued to say, and just sing. Did you hear music?
Yes.
Hopefully. If you didn't hear music, then just throw tomatoes at me, okay? So, but more than music, what we're going to try to do after our first reading is our job now would be to connect the phrases with each other, right? And have the same goals. And so this is what will happen when you get a sight reading. It's good, it's fine. But as soon as we talk and create the same goals, this piece is going to come alive. But we don't have the same goals. She's trying to wonder what mine are and playing what's marked, and I'm creating goals without telling her what they are. So I don't mind this. I like this. I like sight reading a lot. I like missing notes a lot. It's fine. Sight read, play a lot, forget a lot, learn a lot, and then one day prepare yourself for a true concert and prepare yourself. You know, some of the dynamics are a little too soft, some are a little bit fine. You know, you look at the hall, you start to hear it back. I'm starting to find my tree, and this is with me. This will be with you. It'll be with Marcellus or Mitchell Lurie. It all starts right here, right now. We have to build this piece. We got a brand new piece, and we played it together, and we go, okay, so over here, what I want to say is over here, you know, this measure. And she's going to go, what about this area over here? Our target is here. And so we got to go back a few measures and reach the target. And you know what? It's marked mezzo piano, but I really think it's a little bit more. Why not try a mezzo forte there? Or just slightly under. Why not bend it just a little? Let's see. And try it. You're like, oh man, one of the guy marked it a mezzo piano. Okay, well, let's play a pianissimo this time, right? Let's go for a little softer. We don't know. We're gonna develop it as we go. We're gonna develop it as we go. So now, who wants to come up and play? You want to come up? Okay, yeah. Great. Okay, stop there for time reasons. Nice job. Good. Okay, good. Yeah, it's a kind of cool piece, right? Here's the interesting thing. There really is a couple ways to play it. And you know, it would be on move. He went for a little more. It was quite appropriate. And so there you go. You know, if I heard that as an open-minded composer, I would go like, wow, that's pretty cool. And obviously, it's a tough entrance. Piano, D flat. We want to nail that right on time. You got to get the air going early, and you got to see to it the thing responds. That's not easy for any of us. We got to play every single day and to have that kind of skill. So when you find that in a tune, then you go like, wow, okay, there's something for me to tune up on because this piece has a different entrance. And so then you practice all kinds of different ways to get that entrance in there. And a week later you have a cure, and you wow, it's just lazy breath support. I haven't had to make a D flat piano entrance in years. It's like, wow, that's an interesting note, a tough place in the clarinet. So who else wants to play? Let's have another player. really need a lot of air in this piece because it ends on the forte. So they're just saying, the composer's saying here, end loud. How you interpret loud is up to you, but you can't eliminate loud. There's no place that it says to decrescendo. And so you've got to end up with, oh, and cut it off. Like a baton, just, oh, and it's done right there. You leave it alone. And the toughest thing in this piece, as our friend found out, I think, is where's the beat when you're playing music, right? If there's no conductor and the main beat's on the second beat instead of the first, and it can throw you off where you are. Did you notice that? It's a struggle. Okay, let's do this. If I play the back row, I will never miss the D flat, ever. If I shrink where I'm playing, it's possible. Because you shrink away is quieting the note. Quieting the note makes a more difficult entrance. So you have to, that one, be bold and go, that's a really different entrance. So I just play to her. I'm going to play to the back row. And that might change the characteristics slightly with the relationship of all the mezzo pianos and fortes and stuff. But you know what? You cheat a little bit there. You play to the last row. Why not just play to the 2/3 of the audience in the beginning? Here's the problem, is playing that in a really small environment. So if you guys were here and the walls were there and the pianist is here and you're trying to play a piano, well, to them, right here, and that can get you going. So then you realize, well, if I just relax in here, it'll come out. But you might have to brush it up, just like you always want to just kind of take a look at these. Don't just assume they're going to pop out. Mitchell already admonished that. Don't assume it's just going to come. You take a look at this. I got it. You know, I play it and it goes, concert comes, and you say, wow, you know, if you just take a look at this, and after that, you do. You just take a look at anything that's there. So you scan the piece, find the music, and then find the little things that are your frogs. Not everybody has the same frogs in the music, so you got to find your frog. Where's it going to croak? Where's it going to run off the road? And work. Just circle it. I just circle the areas. Even if I think I got it wired, it doesn't matter if it's a frog, and I circle all frogs. And then I play it over and over, and play it at different levels. Don't play the same level all the time because you're not building your skill. So piano to mezzo piano, mezzo piano to mezzo forte to forte, and forte to double forte. Play anything that you're training at different levels so you can build your skills at a level of clarinet. You kill two birds with one stone. You might run across the passage that's similar one day, and it's got a different dynamic, but it's something, right? Don't lock yourself into playing the Rose Etudes identical every single time. I've got the Rose Etude wired. Wait, yes, no, they're music. Oh, they're music. Wow, thank you so much. Now we're looking at a mutuality. And we got to kind of discover what that mutuality is between us as we sight read this together. Now what we're trying to do is have mutual creativity, have our own experience, and as we went, there's a couple things we'd probably adjust. One was a little softer and one was slightly louder. We need to bring that to the same in one or two spots, where our mezzo piano idea was the same idea. And so there's, as nicely as it went, there's things now, that's our reading. Now, roll up the sleeves, find the music beyond a reading. And it takes a second. It isn't just get your etudes out or get the Mozart out or get the Webers out and or the Premier Rhapsody and just start playing same as usual. You're home, you're practicing, you're preparing. The thing about musicians is you're always simply preparing. That's your career. And you're hoping you have 5 minutes on stage somewhere that somebody wants to listen to you do what you've been doing for 50 years in your room preparing. Have something beyond preparing, right? No, there isn't. There's luck. You get to perform somewhere. Yeah, there's 2,000 professional clarinetists up there. It was a stroke of luck in my prime days in the 80s when a composer named Dennis McCarthy, who wrote the music for Star Trek and Private Benjamin, all kinds of different people, walked in, and I was testing a clarinet for a store, Zepp's music store in Burbank. And he'd get French clarinets and he goes, "Oh, you try this out, let me know if it's any good, what can I play, you know." And when I was doing that, Dennis McCarthy walked in the building, because I teach Kung Fu, so I was in the building. And I said, "Can I help you?" He goes, "Yeah, first thing is, do you own the school?" And I go, "Yeah." So, "What are you doing playing clarinet?" I says, "Well, I play clarinet." And at that time, it wasn't too bad. You know, it's like, okay, this is cool. He goes, "I hate the clarinet." I'm not kidding you, I hate the clarinet. I go, "Why do you hate the clarinet?" "I just hate it. It's just, it sounds like a band instrument." He says, "But what are you doing next week?" I said, "Nothing. I teach karate and I prepare." He goes, "Fine, I'll write you a solo." And that's how it started. I played at Warner Brothers the next week. And he liked my playing. He liked the clarinet. And we turned him around because he found the clarinet was a voice.